Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to the Oddcast Podcast.
Off the record.
I'm Blackie.
I'm Erica.
And thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming back. And if you could do us a favor, hit the thumbs up, get us in the algorithm, and we get some more followers in here. Today, we're going to talk about a worst case scenario, and it's called bugging out. We have a very special guest with us, Bigfoot Bud. We were chatting a little bit back behind stage. I had to stop him because he's telling all the secrets before the show even starts. So I think everybody loves Bud. This is going to be a fun show. Go ahead and put that on the comments. And we're going to bring him out. Go ahead and bring him out.
Welcome.
And there he is.
Bigfoot Bud.
Hey, Bud. How you doing today?
Howdy, everybody in chat.
Oh, they're rolling. Everything looks good.
Bud, I'd like to start this off a little bit. I'm a civilian. I've always been a civilian, never served any military time. My dad was Air Force. Both grandfathers were Air Force. I was just a rebellious child. Always wanted to be military. On all my old not report cards, but everything when you do in elementary school, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to be a soldier, and then I hit the rebellious stage, and I probably would have been in the brig more than anything. But please give us a little bit of background about you, and we'll get started.
Well, I was raised by my grandparents. Went to live with them when I was about 7 or 8, and they actually taught me a lot. I mean, from growing up with nothing and not having nothing, you learned to make do with what you could get or find or had. And Grandpa taught me discipline, the hard way. I only took one time though. I get a switching for something one time. And I learned my lesson. So.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but I'd always heard Grandpa talk to his World War II buddies, and just the honor and
I'm sorry, brother.
Oh, you're fine. But
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that.
Hey, it's good. We're good here. We're relaxed, though. Just take your time.
But then whenever Dad would get a hair up his butt, he'd come pick me up once every 3 or 4 months and take me to the bar, so he could talk to his Vietnam buddies, and I'd see him maybe 2-3 times a year if I was lucky, but I'd hear him and his Vietnam buddies talk about stuff, and I just picked up, and then a lot of stuff Grandpa showed me just growing up, making do with what you got and what you could find.
Right.
And I just learned a lot of little tricks, especially when I got in the military on my own. When I graduated, I had 2 baseball scholarship offers, but like I said, I didn't have nothing, and but come to find out, I had everything then. That was the best time of my life.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. But well, I'm sorry. Now is the best time of my life. I got to say that. She's looking at me. But anyway,
Hey,
she says hi. But I graduated, and then, just being on my own, I was like, man, I got to have somebody to take care of me. And I figured the best thing to do was join the military. Grandpa said, hey, do what you're told, do it when you're told, and do it right the first time, and you'll be good to go. And that's what I was brought up. And so I had an offer from the Air Force for air traffic control. And I'm like, man, if I take that, I'll be kicked out of the military. I'll be kicked out of the family. What little family I got. Grandpa was World War II, Dad was Vietnam, and they was both. Grandpa was a tanker in World War II, and Dad was infantry in Vietnam. And then so me and a buddy got a good idea. We talked about going join the Marines together, and unfortunately, they found something in my back, so they wouldn't take me. So I was like, man. I went to the Army recruiter and said, hey, I said I want infantry, I want airborne school, and I want the 101st or the 82nd airborne. He's like, yeah, I can do that. And when I'd talk to I knew all these military people. They're like, well, he's telling you a load of crap, which I knew that, but I had to do something, and had to take care of myself on my own. So I went ahead and joined, and I said, I want the infantry, I want everybody, I want the hardest you got. I mean, growing up as a kid, 10, 11 years old, I'd take my backpack, which had I'd take my 22, my backpack. Grandma would put an apple and a bologna sandwich in there for me.
Oh,
And I'd take my tart, and I'd get off the bus Friday and say, Grandma, I'm going in the backyard, So I'd go back in the back. I called it the backyard, but they had 160 acres of woods.
That's a big backyard.
50 acres tillable. And then Mr. Mead and Mr. Airwood and Mr. Oh, crap. Forgot his. Ain't that terrible? I'm getting old.
oh, you're
Anyway,
good.
I had about 1,000 acres to run, and they was like, boy, go back there, do what you want, just don't leave no trash. Back then that's the way it was.
Right.
Mhm.
You could get permission, and so I'd go back there, get off the bus Friday. Sometimes I'd come back Friday night. Sometimes it wouldn't be till Saturday. Sometimes not till Sunday. I just loved it. So,
Wow.
am I frozen up?
Nope, you're good.
No, you're good.
Okay, it just must be on my end. So, but so that's why I asked for the infantry. I was like, heck, I'm doing this now. I just might as well keep doing it. I love it.
Mhm.
Good for you.
Done the military for 3 years. I got out. Started at the prison when I was 22. I was lucky. I only had to go about 6 months or something before I got hired at the prison. And I hated that job with the pat. I mean, I hated it. I hate being somebody you're not. And once that gate closes behind you, you gotta be consistent, firm, and mean what you say.
Mhm.
And so you can't be wishy-washy today. Yeah, I'll let you do this tomorrow. That just
Right.
won't work.
Mhm.
So, but when you have a family and kids, you have to have the insurance. I mean, so as bad
Oh,
as I hated
yeah.
that job, I done 31 years at that place and hated about every day of it. So,
Wow.
but, I mean, you meet a lot of good people, and I just did what I had to do, and here I am. So,
Yeah.
Patrick Noble wanted to know if you worked at state or federal prison.
State.
State.
Yeah, I wish it was federal. Federal's only 20 years retirement.
Well, thank you for your service, and
Yes, thank you.
I'm obviously a very pro-military person, and thank
Well,
you
like,
again.
I tell everybody, if it wasn't for my grandma and grandpa, I'd be dead or in jail. So,
Mm.
I say that about my parents now.
yeah.
They were hard people. My dad was the Southern old guy. He was old school, and you saw lots of these, lots of belts, lots of
Yeah.
if you acted up, and
Yeah.
that's why I told you earlier I was rebellious, because I'm like, let's see how much I can get away with. So
I didn't try that too much, but there was one time in 8th or 9th grade, when you have to go to gym class and you have to change into shorts, and I came walking out of the locker room out into the gym there, and the gym coach looks at me and said, "Damn, boy, you must have how do you put it nice? You must have messed up." Because I mean, I had them switch welts all down my thighs and,
Oh,
and
wow.
down to my knees, where they grab your wrist and you go in a circle and you go. They just whoo, boy.
Man.
Yeah. Now, when Grandma would switch, I'd act like it hurt, but boy, Grandpa. I mean,
that's because you knew if you didn't acted like it hurt, you were going to get it from Grandpa too. So
oh, buddy, yeah. If Grandpa got a hold of it, I mean, Grandpa would go, whoosh, and you'd sit there for a couple seconds and be like, "Man, that sounded good. This is going to hurt."
Oh, I'm glad you could
Yeah,
laugh
boy.
about it now.
But I mean, it smartened me up, because I never. It really smartened me up, because I never got a switching for the same thing twice. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Right.
That was me.
Yeah.
So anyway, the topic of the day is bugging out, and you and I talked a little bit. This is the last thing you should do. Why don't you talk about that? Tell us about why you think it's the last thing you should think about doing.
Yeah.
If the shit hits the fan.
Yeah. Bugging out always ain't a good idea. I mean, you see all these movies and people talk about it. If SHTF shit hits the fan. If that scenario happens, it ain't always a good idea. I mean, if you live in a rural area, try to develop your place to stay there. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. People don't really. I mean, you take me and Angie go out to dinner. We go in a restaurant. First thing I do is I find the wall, and then I'm sitting with my back to the wall. I'm just from years of military and working at the prison. You don't want nobody behind you.
Correct.
It's just a little, just to be careful. But to bug out, though, it ain't always a good idea. I mean, especially if you don't have a place to go.
Mhm.
I mean, you have to think about, can I drive there? Can I walk there? Can I bicycle there?
Mhm.
And if you do have a plan, look for water, bridges, anything you might have to cross that you can't get your vehicle across. And like me, I told Chad that I've got a little plan in effect, but I hate to give too much away because
Mhm.
it's like I tell my stepdaughter, hey, don't tell people I've got a daggone,
Yep.
apocalypse closet, she calls it. you know,
That's
Yeah.
right. Because
it's
they're gonna come see you. They're gonna
yeah,
come pay you a visit.
Mhm.
yeah, and then God forbid you have to use your pews to
Yeah.
protect yourself, and God
Mhm.
forbid you don't want to shoot nobody,
No, no.
and but I mean, and you can't take care of the whole neighborhood. But
Right.
my best opinion is from experience. If you're a lone wolf's what they call somebody thinks they can just go out and live, at the worst case scenario, make it on their own.
Mhm.
That ain't going to happen sooner. I mean, if you get seen, you're dead.
Right.
And if you
Mhm.
get seen, because a person can't stay awake 24/7. You have
No.
to have somebody to watch out. I mean, if you could form a little group, say neighbors within a mile or two, uh,
Mhm.
maybe 10 people, or you could pull duty. A couple of people pull duty, other people rest or get things done. I mean, like I said, I'm speaking worst case scenario.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I hate to bring it up. I mean, you talk to some people and they think you're crazy, but I mean, I've always prepared for this. Well, I grew up like this. You made the best of what you had,
Mhm.
and God forbid it don't. And like I told you earlier, I tell my wife, I I know I have so much knowledge that is useless.
That sounds
And
like Chad. That's what
yeah,
he says.
yeah. I tell her, I said, God forbid we don't have to use that knowledge. I
right.
mean, let's just hope civilization just goes the way it goes, and hope for the best, and love each other, and help each other out, and do the
Mhm.
best you can.
One of the things when we talked about bugging out being a last case scenario, we did the bug in show, and I felt to me that was that's what we're going to do. I mean, no matter what,
Yeah,
we're in a prime location. We're rural. We're in a town of around 2,000 people. Our neighbors are all awesome people, and each person brings a certain thing to the table. We have a
exactly.
mechanic, tree,
Oh yeah,
house builder guy.
yeah,
Um, I would say that I was a machinist forever. Not that I don't have any machines to run, but
yeah,
I can't help build, and I'm fairly good with guns or pew
yeah,
pew, excuse me. And you know, she cooks. We grow
yeah,
our garden, so we've got a great community that way.
yeah,
I think a lot of what I thought about in bugging out was if you're, last case scenario, and if you're on the road,
yeah,
because you can build what they call to-go bags, and they usually
yeah,
when they talk about that, it's like a 72-hour to-go bag if you have to
yeah,
evacuate your house for some reason. And it obviously would be a lot easier if you still have the ability to use your car. If you
yeah.
did, such as like East Palestine with the chemical spill, and you had
Oh
to
yeah,
evacuate immediately, you having those bags in your car or being able to grab it as you go out, you're already prepared for that emergency situation. If
yeah,
you have to sit there and grab a bag and go up, start shoving clothes in,
Mhm.
that might be too long, and you might be,
yeah.
you might
Taken
be
over by the gas. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
So, that's kind of one of the things. Bugging out's a whole different thing as far as, you know, shit hits the fan, nuclear war, civil war, whatever.
Yeah.
That's very rare. I mean, we're
Yeah.
probably closer to that now than we've ever been, but that's still rare. That's not what you need to think about.
Yeah.
Um, One of the things I wanted to discuss was, like mental preparedness, to be
Yeah.
prepared, have the mindset for this. Tell me what you think. I mean,
Oh,
what do you think?
it's definitely so much tougher than people think. I mean, you hear people. I got friends that hunt and fish and stuff, and they're like, "Man, if shit hits the fan, if SHTF hit the,
You're fine. Say shit hits the fan. You're
okay,
fine.
shit hits the fan. If shit hits the fan, they'd be like, oh, I just go live in the woods. Well, you and everybody else, there ain't gonna be no animals left. I
Mhm.
mean, and pretty soon it's gonna get down to king of the jungle. I mean,
Yep.
like I said, if you're lone wolf, if you're seen, you're dead.
Yep.
It ain't a good scenario. I mean, I'll tell you what, just well, if you never tried it before, just pack your bag and go out for 3 days. I mean, you can stay close to a road or whatever. Just try 3 days to start off with just whatever you have in your bag. I mean, that'll teach you a lot. I mean, it taught me a lot when I was a young kid. I'm like, man, next time I come, I'm going to bring this and I'm going to leave this in the house.
And, but in the same scenario, Bud, we did that when I've camped my whole life.
Yeah.
When we started camping, she went through all these internet sites, what we might need, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And we learned after that first night that we we had way more stuff than we actually needed. So each camping trip was learning a new thing about what we needed and what we didn't need.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that you really don't need. I mean, I'm talking bare necessities. I mean, it's nice to have a book or Yahtzee or something to play or something, or maybe a deck of cards. But I mean, to be real, it's hard to do that. I spent some time in the jungle and in the woods and, in the military. I mean, it's tougher than you think. And supposedly they give us everything we were supposed to have to make it easier. But we even, what do you call it? Maybe optioned we got extra stuff we put in our packs. Like me, in my Alice pack, I'm giving away my age now. I don't know what to call them nowadays, but we had an Alice pack but besides what we was issued, I'd carry bleach, a vial of bleach, tire slivers. Everybody's got tires. You see them in creeks, or along roads, anywhere. Pieces of tire. People don't think about that. I mean, I just cut slivers of tire and put in my pack. I mean, it don't weigh nothing. And I don't care how cold, how wet, how humid. You can light a piece of tire, and it's a good signal too. I mean, it puts out that black smoke. I'm not saying that I burnt tires. But I mean, like I said, I don't care how cold, wet, anything, humid it is. You can burn a piece of tire to get a fire started if you have to or whatever. Lighters. Now, don't get me wrong. I know how to use a ferro rod and flint strike and all that. But in this day and age, nobody should ever be without a lighter. I've got a lighter. I've got several lighters in vehicles, my hunting stuff, my fishing stuff. I've got 2,000 lighters in old pickle jars that I washed out. I mean, every time I go to Walmart, every time I pick up usually a can or two, canned food, and mostly beans and rice. But also buy a 6-pack of Scripto lighters at Walmart. I think they're $2.98 or $3.98. Every time, you can ask my wife. Every time.
There was a period of time where we were stocking up on those, but that's been a while.
Yeah. Well, my grandpa used to tell me, he said, boy, he said, when shit hits a fan, there's going to be 3 forms of currency. And he said, that's canned food, ammo, and the female part.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you think about it, I mean, like I said, I hate to be blunt and
don't hate.
I mean, people need to hear it.
Yep.
Yeah,
like I said, God forbid it comes to that, but
right.
I mean, we had a root cellar. Grandma would can stuff, and we'd have stuff down there at 7 years old. And I mean, she just, boy, go down there and pick me out a jar of them peppers. The oldest peppers you see. Boy, I'd bring it. She'd put them on the kitchen table. She'd pop out, and I'd be across the table. My eyes would just start watering.
Oh wow!
She was 100% Indian, and she'd just take one of it and just. I'm like, oh my God, you're a better man than I am. Yeah. I mean, not eat a piece of bread with her, nothing, just a whole jar. I'm like, oh my God.
She was probably very healthy.
Oh, she always said the secret to healthy life is 1 shot a day. Yeah, that was the homemade moonshine Grandpa made, or a whiskey. I always bought Grandma a 5th of Jim Beam rye whiskey every month, just to, whenever any way I could help out, I could, because I didn't want to.
Think about that. Even back then, they gave it to babies if they had colic. Just put it on your finger.
Don't get me started on that stuff. I mean, my grandma, I called her a witch. She'd give me a wicker basket, and I'd put it under my arm, and we'd go out behind the house in the field and then in the woods and the fence rows, berries, weeds, bark, ginseng, bloodroot, yellowroot, stuff I didn't even know. Pick me some of that. And that night she'd go in the kitchen and she'd just start brewing and, you know,
Oh,
and she had what I called a witch cabinet. And anytime I used to play sick. Yeah. Some of that stuff. Oh my God, that was good. And it, whew, yeah, I just wish I would have paid attention and learned more. I didn't really, I was a kid. I was wanting to hunt fish, go out in the backyard.
Right.
I was too busy, but
Yep.
we'd have people come to the house and she'd whip up some kind of potion or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Yeah. And we'd have people bring us, homemade pies for payment. People looked out for each other, the grandpa had chickens and Mr. Mead had cattle. We'd trade, chicken, cattle and eggs and the farmer down the road had goats. We'd get goat's milk, and people looked out and helped each other out when they
and that's a big deal if the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Is you being able to barter with whatever you can barter with. I know a lot of people are saying, keep gold and this, gold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's great, but you can't eat gold.
No.
You can't, so what if somebody's got a piece of gold? If the shit's hitting the fan, gold's nothing.
No, it ain't. Think about it. Say if shit hit the fan and you haven't eaten in 4 days, and somebody comes up with 2 cans of canned food. Oh, here, I'll give you a piece of gold for I don't think so, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What good's it going to do you?
Right.
So, like I said, I've always, all my wives and ex-wives have gotten mad at me.
Sound like me.
Because they always say, why do you always think the worst? Well, if I think of the worst, if it does happen, then it's going to be a little bit easier for everybody.
Right.
Again,
with that mental preparedness,
Yeah.
If it's something you don't think about, and I have to go back to what we were talking about earlier. For one, knowing the area where you're going to meet your family members, if you do have to escape somehow, or if it's just you knowing that area, how familiar are you with that area? It's not, now is the time to prepare for things like that. Now that you have the ability and you have the money and you have the transportation, you have everything, you've got it made right now. But if you have to escape, you would feel so much better knowing that you're familiar with that area or with the waterways or, the dangers of walking in those areas. I'm always going to go to the plants, what's around there. Are you familiar with the plants? How can you survive off of those, for example?
Yeah, it's always good. Yeah.
But the other thing is, if you're relying on, say, your neighbors, now is definitely the time to build those relationships.
Yeah.
Because we've heard of, we stayed in an Airbnb one time and it was awesome. It actually was somebody's basement, which was crazy, but we loved them. It ended up being awesome. They had like 18 acres of land, I think. And, we learned a lot from them, but they told us in their small community, they're already doing, like you say, Bud, that you had experienced growing up, where they all come together and use supplies from one another or barter kind of, or borrow, or,
you don't see that from people nowadays,
Well, it was very neat to hear. And this was about 2 years ago. It was very neat to hear that they seemed like such a tight community, but they said they already knew of this one lady who was just like, didn't have anything to offer. And it's not that she was so poor she didn't. It was just that she was that kind of person. She was only taking. She wasn't giving anything. And this had been over months or years. So, time will tell. That's why I think it's better to build those relationships now rather than you're really taking a chance then, because mentally it's not going to be the same. And people do get desperate. And that's when you can't trust people for sure.
Exactly. The mental part is, believe it or not, the toughest part. For somebody that's spent up to 3 months before in a hole in the jungle. And the hardest part is the boredom. Sure, they bring us MREs and stuff, but I ain't gonna go down to Burger King here, get a burger and come back and jump in my hole
Right.
I'll go pick up my Marie and I'm going back to that hole every
Mhm.
day, that's, that's it.
Yeah, I always think of like,
Boredom.
well, I think, I think of a lot of different things when it comes to that, but I also think of prisoners and
Mhm.
those who solitary confinement.
Yeah.
That changes you mentally. But we took a
Yeah.
tour of the Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary a couple months ago here in Tennessee, and they showed us, it's not an operating prison anymore, but they showed us where they would stay for like solitary confinement. And even in Salem, Massachusetts, when we did the tour last week there,
Okay.
you really have nothing. And in those situations, with the witches, they talked about the tide coming in and the water filling up their cells, like daily.
Oh,
And
wow.
you just think of these different things and how it breaks you down. But the one at the Brushy Mountain, they talked about, they were in this dark hole and then they were temporarily blind for a period of time after they were released from that cell.
Yeah.
It affects you mentally and physically. Different things do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm at the prison I worked at. It wasn't like that now. That's for sure. I mean, they're
Mhm.
catered to and given everything they need. I
Mhm.
mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Bud Virax has a question here, and I'll ask you first. How likely do you think we are to face a major CME or geomagnetic event in our lifetime? And what kind of infrastructure or personal preparedness do you think is most often overlooked in conversations?
Well, the corona mass ejection, I'd put that above nuclear war. I mean, if I'd see the United States getting attacked, it'd just be here and there, just a little 2 or 3 targets by nuclear missiles. If we was to get attacked, I'd say it'd be more of an EMP attack where it
Correct.
just
Yeah.
sort out every electronic there ever was, And
Think how society would act with no electronics.
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, nowadays, oh my God, these kids would, man, it'd be terrible. But
Mhm.
but there was a survey, well, not a survey, but a scientific study that I think it was 85% of the United States would be dead within a year if all
Wow.
electronic. I mean, think about it. You can't go buy groceries unless you got cash. I mean, how many people keep $500,000 cash handy?
Mhm.
I mean, because when your gas stations go down, your supermarkets go down, they can't run the cash registers. I mean, cash is going to be king for a little bit,
Yeah.
Right.
maybe for the first day or two,
Yeah.
and then it's going to be like you see here in Washington, Oregon, all them people rushing stores and just taking what they can get.
Yep.
And then you don't want to be around that time. That's too
No, you
dangerous.
don't. No.
And the biggest thing is trying to recognize something as soon as it happens, or maybe even before, if possible, but to
Mhm.
get out of Dodge,
Yep.
or to prepare and get ready,
Yep.
Like I said, I hope none of this happens, but I've always spent I hate, I hate to admit it, but like I said, I always picture the worst for everything.
And I do the same thing, Bud.
Yeah.
It was probably when we started exchanging words with North Korea that I really got,
Yeah.
okay, we need to really start, because if there's somebody like that out there that just, doesn't like the United States and they're
Yeah.
dumb enough to launch China the same way, launch an EMP, or, if anybody doesn't know what an EMP is, it's an electromagnetic pulse
Yeah.
that they use, usually would be a nuclear missile,
Yeah.
would explode in the upper atmosphere, and then it just shuts down all electronics, burns it up, doesn't just shut it up. It burns it up.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have a car because your car is a computer. It's just so much you would lose. And I agree with Bud that would probably be the biggest thing we'd have. Also, the solar storms. I know, I think it was back in the 1800s, maybe early
1886, I believe, the Carrington event.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
literally everything that was, at that time, electronic or electronic-esque, it shut everything down and people were lost. They didn't know what to do.
They had the telegraph machines and it just fried them all.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's, obviously we have a lot more electronics now in our lives.
Yeah.
So think how big that would be to to everybody now. Virax also said, I would think having to know how to grow food and canning would be huge.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then everybody, I don't care where you live. You should know how to at least plant seeds, grow things. Canning. Yeah, that's awesome. I know Erica can can.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's I think everybody should know that, just because, you can go through life being oblivious and just say it's never going to happen. But what do you do when the day happens? And so anyway,
and then real quick, that's one thing I put on our bugging in video. Now is the time to print documents, from the internet. Our electronics are working now. Like for me, I'm always looking at new recipes, so I'm printing my recipes now. That way it's not, or anything that's important to you or anything that would be for survival.
Yeah.
Now is the time, we not saying it's going to happen, but we do have that ability now. So we should take advantage of this time.
Yeah. The best thing you can do is, it's like my boys growing up, I'd tell them how to do something, but I'd make them do it. To me, the best way to learn something is to actually do it.
Right.
Yes.
Do it. See if, you'll get the hang of it sooner or later. Practice makes perfect,
Or like, taking one day and just getting in your car and, can I stay on my own? See how that feels. Can I stay out there just by myself? Whatever it is, anything before that you can prepare for, I think will help.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so many, everything I was taught as a kid and growing up, heck, there's YouTube videos on everything. All my tricks and stuff's gone now. It's all on YouTube, but, you can just look up anything now. And if you do, then actually do it, try it, that's how you learn.
Yep. One of the things that I've read about, and also is, when you pack a to-go bag, whether it's one you leave in your car or one you leave in the house, or if you have to leave, a lot of people, I'm going to say more people that have money, that go out and buy these fancy bug out bags that have, this high dollar first aid kit in it that they don't even know how to use. Things that are in it. Stay within your skills. If you're going to pack a first aid kit, which I've got one, a little basic first aid kit. It's got Band-Aids, it's got gauze, it's got alcohol wipes, things that everybody probably knows how to use.
Yeah.
Well,
but
also actually use this before you need it, so you get familiar with the products, because it might not be this one, but there's some of the worst Band-Aids I've ever used. It might not be this one, but they won't stick. So you're learning from these products.
That's where duct tape comes in. I carry duct tape in about everything too.
Yep.
Duct tape and bandages,
Yep.
We use that in the military if we, had to.
Okay. Let's talk about, what does Bud have in his to-go bag? What type of thing?
I got my list here. When you called me and asked me to be on the show, I pulled up my bag from the truck. and
whatever you want to share, it's up to you.
Well, stuff I keep in the go bag in the truck, but to live on anyway. Let's say I got a tarp, couple tarps, paracord bungee, zip cords, duct tape, my hillbilly heater. I'll show you that in a little bit. You have to have a metal cup. I should have got one. Metal cup, metal container. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Because I'm frozen on my end. I can't.
Yeah, you're good. You're great.
I can see you.
But because you have to be able to boil water to purify it. You want to filter water, then purify it, and if that's all you can do, you at least want to do that before you drink it. So you have to have something to boil water in. Road flare, I keep road flares. Rain gear, ferro rods, lighters, matches. I keep extra trash bags. Now this is stuff you can compact so good and so much. And I've even got one of them suction things, that sucks everything down.
Yeah.
But,
Oh yeah, like a vacuum bag.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, my
Yeah.
vacuum sealer. Yeah, that's I make my own MRE. So, but
Nice.
multi-tool. I always keep a couple multi-tools. I've got a half, 9/16, and 7/16. Your most basic common wrenches. You never know. I also have fishing line hooks. You know, you can always get a stick. You know, make you a rod. Also keep a couple blankets. Always a change of clothes, because there's two rules of cold weather training. You can be wet. Well, one rule, but you can be wet and live. You can be cold and live. You can't be wet and cold and live.
Okay, yeah.
You gotta get dry somehow, some way. So always keep a change of clothes. I mean, I never forget the first time we was in cold weather training. It was 15 degrees, and we'd walked. People don't know, but we walked probably about 5 miles. I mean, here it was 15 degrees, and we are sweating, steam coming up off of us. We stop, and we're going to camp there for the night. And these are the instructors. They knew what they was doing. I mean, they got us so hot and sweaty. You know, we didn't take off our cold weather jackets, and you know, nothing. So we was soaked.
Oh.
And man, I'd never been that cold in my life. I couldn't stop shivering. My teeth chattering. And so what did they do? I figured they'd build us a fire and save us, but no, they made us strip. I mean, completely strip.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. We were standing naked in 15-degree weather, and then pull out our change of clothes, and then put them, you know, dry off, put them on, and then actually start moving, start walking. And yeah, we survived, thank goodness. But I'll tell you, it teaches you a lesson the hard way, but you don't forget it. You know, I mean, like I said, you can be wet and live, and you can be cold and live. You can't be both.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't care if it's 50 degrees. If you get soaked and it drops 50, 45 degrees, you're going to be fighting hypothermia.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. And so you got to get dry. You got to get dry and change your clothes and get your clothes, you know, of course, the other set. Oh, like I said, always keep change clothes. And also, like I said, I keep my tire slivers in my bag. Like I was saying, you can always start them on fire. I don't care how cold, wet it. You can, because that ain't nothing to drop a piece of tire. I keep super glue, knives, and then I always keep extra medication. Anything. I mean, luckily I'm still pretty good health, you know, fortunately. So I don't need any extra. I just keep Tylenol, aspirin, ibuprofen, stuff like that in my bag.
Same.
And then, like I said, I keep vials of bleach. You know, like I said, if you have to get a cup of water out of a pond, you know, I mean, it's going to look terrible, but you put, it takes 6 to 8 drops of bleach for a gallon of water. So say you get just say a gallon of water out of a pond, you put 6 to 8 drops, shake it up, let it set for 20 minutes. Technically, it's going to be safe to drink. And now it may look like crap, it may smell like crap, but it's going to be safe to drink. That's why I always say you always want to filter and then purify your water. And then to be safe, after you filter and purify it, always boil it, just to be extra safe.
Absolutely.
Also keep a first aid kit, flashlights, headlamp, stuff like that. And then it's always good, like Eric was saying, always know your edible plants around your area. I mean, around here, your dandelions, milkweed. I mean, you can eat cattails. You can eat cats. People don't know that. You can eat cattails. And you talk about a great fire starter. Cattails dry out in no time. The top part of the cattail you see sticking out of the water, you can tear them apart, and them are great fire starters.
Oh wow!
But if you pull up that cattail, I mean, it's actually like celery. You get the bottom piece, you peel off the first few layers, and you snap it. You can actually eat that bottom of that cattail that's in the mud in the pond. It's underwater. I ain't gonna say it's a delicacy, but you can eat
Hey, it's about survival, man. It's about survival.
Yeah, and just like you take your pine needles from trees. You can take pine needles and steep them, and don't boil them, just steep them. You know, boil your water, then let it, done boil, then throw your pine needles in there, and then give it a few minutes, and then filter the pine needles off, and then that's vitamin C.
But you talk.
there's all kinds of little tricks and stuff like that. Like I told my wife, it's a lot of useless knowledge that hopefully we don't have to use.
Well,
Well,
it's so good
you
to
know,
know.
like the dandelions,
Mhm.
she'll pick dandelions. You can every part of
Oh,
the
yeah.
dandelion's
Every
edible.
part. Yep.
You know, from the flower to the stems to the root.
Yeah.
I just saw a recipe for dandelion root fries to make like French fries with dandelion
really?
root. Yeah. So I was like,
Sounds
that
good.
sounds pretty good. And
Yeah.
dandelion tea, you know, that's that. If you're a tea drinker, I love it. I think
Well,
it
there's
tastes good.
Yeah, there's medicinal sides too. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's
Mhm.
why I started doing all that because I'm not a medication person.
yeah,
I feel I'm very healthy because we've started to go more natural. Yeah, we still eat, you know, crappy hamburgers and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
not good meat, but you know, we're putting more healthy in than we are the bad stuff in. So
Mhm.
that's good.
maybe
yeah.
they're kind of working with each other. But
Yeah.
yeah, so highly suggest you learn what's in your yard from
Mhm.
plantain
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
plantain's great for itching, scratching. If you get cuts, you
Bug
put-
bite.
Yeah,
bug
scrapes,
bites.
burns. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I wish Misty was here because she could throw out a bunch
Yeah.
of
Yes.
stuff
Yeah.
that she talks about. But you know, that's just different things. And all of what we're talking about and what Bud's talking about. If you're really interested in this stuff, there's lots of great books
Yeah.
that you can purchase to talk about these that tell you about this stuff. I bought one that I really like. It's from I think he was a Green Beret, and it'll tell you how to do everything with herbs, and it's spectacular. Now I'm not much of a reader, but
Mm.
when I want to know something, I'll go in and find out about it. She teaches me more about that kind of stuff with the weeds and the bugs and all the other stuff out there. So I highly suggest learning.
Yeah, I
Just
met some Green Berets when I was in, and they'd always say, take, you know, if you can watch animals, if they can eat it, chances are you should be able to handle it for a little bit. But they said take a leaf or whatever and put it in your gum and just rub it in your gum and give it a half hour. And if it don't affect you, then you could probably eat the leaf. Same way with any kind of root or berry. Take a little piece of, crush the berry and just rub a little bit inside your gum or maybe under your tongue. They said that's the fastest way to the bloodstream's right under your tongue. Which
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
always been told that, so I don't know. I guess that's true.
Well, I know like certain medications. There's one I used to take, and it was like droppers, and it was sublingual, so it was under your tongue.
Your tongue.
Okay.
So yeah, they've talked about that hitting your bloodstream faster.
So, Bud, do you carry maps in your bag? Any kind of
Yeah,
maps? Or
I
Okay.
carry county and state, and then if I can, usually it's the county and state, but how far am I going to need to go? I probably ain't going to make it that long.
Well,
But,
you know, I'm going to tell everybody that if you're going somewhere, if you're going out of town, make sure you get a paper map of
Yeah.
where you're going. Don't just rely on your cell phone for directions.
yeah,
Learn how to read a compass because if the grid goes down, if the cell systems go down, your phone's worthless, and you need to know how to read a compass and to read a map and how to get where you need to go.
Mhm.
Luckily, we have street signs that'll help out a little bit, but you got to know,
yeah.
if you're trying to go to a specific
Directions.
spot, you best have a map.
Yeah, that's what Angie says. Every time we plan on going to meet and greets or Bigfoot hunt or something, she'll say, "All right, here's what the phone shows," and of course she says, "Get out your atlas and tell me which way you'd go." So
Mhm.
Right,
I
right. That's
I
good.
still use my atlases, and I know how to read the road signs and all that stuff. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's always good to know.
Yeah,
Yes,
It's useless. Yeah, useless stuff.
useless knowledge. Yep.
Well, I would so like last year when we went to Holland's for the first time, I went ahead and printed, local maps or
Yeah.
the MapQuest, whatever it was, directions to get there. Because if something should happen and your GPS isn't working, at least you've
Yeah.
got that to refer to.
Well, I just found an atlas. We love to go thrifting. I mean, I'm all about thrifting. I get stuff for prepping, bushcrafting, survival stuff, and camping. I mean, it's great. I mean, if something breaks on me when we're camping at Holland's, I'm throwing a dumpster and I'm out $3.
Yes.
I mean, but I found a atlas for $2. Yeah, I mean, it was like 3 years old, but hey, so I've got atlases in every car and
Yep.
packs, you know, put back, and I mean,
Well,
it's
that's a
always
good
good to
price
have.
anyway. Hey,
Yeah.
speaking of thrifting, do you want us to tell us about the heater?
Can I log out and come back in, because this is driving me crazy. I
Yeah.
can't see.
Yeah, sure.
We'll be here.
Okay, yeah, and then I'll remind me when we do our heaters.
You got it.
Yeah, all right, be right back. I think.
So while Bud's
Here.
gone,
Here's the comment.
this episode has opened my eyes to truly prepared I am. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. We want
Yeah.
everybody to be prepared.
Yeah.
You don't know, look at the people that had to go through Hurricane Helene that, probably didn't think being in the Carolinas that you were going to get hit from a hurricane that came through Florida and take out, your house and everything else. So if you know about it, if you know last minute, you're more prepared having a bug out bag, or, what we were talking about is an EMP or nuclear war. That is, the least thing you have to worry about, because we know that's probably not going to happen. Countries talk about it all the time and it doesn't happen, but natural disasters happen, hurricanes, earthquakes. I know here in Tennessee, we got hit with a 4.1 that's the first earthquake I've ever felt. It didn't scare me, but we know that Yellowstone Park, the Old Faithful geyser, is one of the largest volcanic systems. If that explodes, that kills half of the United States. So, and it's due, from what these scientists tell us. So it's better to be prepared. Yes, it'd be one thing to die quickly and not know, but if you have the ability to up and leave, you want to be prepared. I know my buddy Patrick in chat has the EMP proof Toyota Tacoma, which I'm really jealous of. He's got the ultimate off-road vehicle. And that's the kind of thing, not everybody can have one of those, but it's nice to be prepared that way. We're trying to just help you out with, like we've got a table back here of things I've pulled directly out of my bug out bag. But let's bring Bud back in.
Okay.
And we'll go over that.
Yeah, that's better. I'm sorry. It was just so weird. I couldn't see, I talk with my hands.
Oh, you're good.
Bud, don't apologize. Don't apologize.
All right. So if you want to move on to the heater, but hold on a second. I wanted to say you missed this comment from Verax. This episode has opened my eyes to how truly unprepared I am. Thank you for this information. Guess we're going shopping.
Yeah.
Guess what everyone in my family is getting for Christmas. And then also put a disaster preparedness backpack with Bigfoot Bud's list of goodies in it to keep at their doors. Thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. I mean, if everybody could be more prepared, it might not be so bad for people if it does happen, But I mean, a lot of, like I said, I do a lot of thrifting, dollar store stuff. I mean, when I go to the dollar store, I'll buy a cheap pair of pliers. I'll buy the 9x12 plastic roll. Then I'll keep them in my packs. It's just a painter's plastic. It's for $1.25 now, I believe. But I mean, and every time we go to the store, I'll buy an extra can or two. And now, if there's a sale, 10 for 10 on canned food, that's good in protein and stuff. Hey, guess what? I'm adding to the apocalypse closet,
Yes.
But I mean, and I buy a pack of lighters. I mean, I've got 2,000 to 3,000 lighters. Like I said, in this day and age, nobody should be without a lighter anytime, anywhere. And I mean, I don't know if you've tried to use a ferro rod or a flint steel or even the bow drill. You try that in 20 degrees when you're cold and hungry and haven't ate for 3 days. That's tough, buddy. That's tough.
Right.
So it's easier just to click. Oh, I'm sorry. The heater. You want the hillbilly heater?
Yeah. Tell us about your hillbilly heater.
You're ready to talk about that.
Okay. Well, I was telling Chattanooga earlier that my grandpa showed me this when I was probably 10, 11 years old. We had a pipe freeze up in the winter. And so being the young whippersnapper, guess who had to, go in the crawl space under the house? Well, he showed me this trick then, and I've used it for camping. I've heated tents and shelters. I've used it for hunting and fishing, and I mean it's awesome. I mean, I've used it for so many things. I mean, and it's so cheap. But this here, I got this at a thrift store. It's aluminum. All it is just a cheap little can, 50 cents. Okay. Get you a roll of toilet paper, preferably the 1-ply. You can pick 1-ply because the 1-ply sucks. But 1-ply, you can get these a quarter a piece, 50 cents a piece. You know, every time we go, like when we stay at a hotel, I snatch the extra roll. If I'm paying $120, I'm at least taking the roll of toilet paper. So, but what you want to do is you take out the cardboard here. That way it don't smoke. And then once you take that out, you take the toilet paper and you squish it down in here. Believe me, you can get it in there. Just take out the cardboard. And then you take a bottle of 70% alcohol, regular rubbing alcohol. That's all it is. And now you can use the 90%, but it burns hotter and burns faster, which would be better for cooking if you wanted to.
Okay.
But 70% lasts longer. This bottle here will last 3 to 4 hours burning. And I've already got one made up here for you.
How many ounces is that, bud?
This here's a 16-ounce bottle. Usually $2 or $3. So, but I've had this one. Let's see. Yeah, I've had this one. I made this in June of 24. I always write on top of all my canned food. I got people say, "Well, we got writing on your food and bleaches." Well, when I bought them, I know when I bought them when I need to replace them.
Yeah.
But so this one here I made in June of 24. Well, a year ago now. And they're sealed pretty good. Now I keep these in my car in an emergency bag for the wife from my truck. But you can seal. I don't know if you can see it's still mushy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you got it sealed good. I mean, like I said, I've had these last forever. All right. Now that all right. Make sure you got a fire extinguisher. Right, there you go. Can you?
Oh wow.
Now see, I'm holding that. The alcohol is the toilet paper absorbed all the alcohol.
Yeah.
It's like it's wicking everything up. I mean, I can hold it up here and it ain't hot. Okay. That'll burn 3 to 4 hours usually.
Wow.
And I mean, you can carry it around if you want. I mean, and it puts out awesome. I mean, it's open flame, so it puts out great heat. And then all you got to do, you're good to go. Put it back in your backpack or car. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're 2 hours into it, that can is not hot.
I mean, look,
to the touch?
the toilet paper hasn't even burnt. It's the alcohol that's burning. But
that is awesome. I would figure you would want a handle.
Well, I mean, I do have these with a handle on it, but you can't carry it if you from the handle that if you got it lit. But I put these in tents. Get you a cinder block. Put this down in the cinder block. That way you don't have to worry about kicking it over.
Awesome.
I've had them campers, and I've had them underneath houses throwing. It froze up.
Yeah, it froze. I think. Well.
Yeah, you froze now.
Frozen. Okay, you're moving again.
That's a great idea, bud. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
And that's not an expensive way, to heat if it were an emergency and you needed to.
I'm going to throw a few more things. I know Bud's probably got more stuff in his pack.
Can you hear us, Bud?
Okay. I think you might be back.
So I'm going to say a few things. Another item you can put in your pack or carry off of your pack is bear spray.
No bad going. It's freezing up on me.
And it's really good if you keep carabiners. You can hook these to your backpacks to hang things off of your backpack. One of the things about your carry bag.
And we're still frozen on that.
is you don't want your cover bag.
He said if it does, just
your bag to be too heavy. Think about your age. Think about your cardio, your strength.
see if I can back out of this. I hit
You
leave
seem to be good
the
now.
studio.
I don't know, 'cause this is delayed, so.
Another good item is these multi-tools. This one's got a set of pliers, a knife, screwdrivers. It's got everything that you would need. These are great things to keep out. The knife's sharp. It's a good thing to keep in your car. In fact, this one is from her car.
Mhm.
There's just lots of different things. Bungee cords are always great. Keep them in your car. Keep them in your backpacks. Bud talked about using bleach. You could also buy life straws. I forget how these are good for a very long time.
Yeah, they have different brands too. Just do your research
Absolutely.
on those.
You can bring him in.
All right.
He's back.
I'm sorry, fellas.
Don't
Welcome
don't
back.
apologize. You're not in charge of the internet.
Yeah, I can talk to old line cryptids all night long and nothing happens.
Okay, real quick, I just wanted to say a lot of people are starting to make comments about how this is educational. We're glad that you're learning from it. Don't feel like you should have known this or anything like that. We are very encouraging. We want you to know we have options to explore. So we're just trying to help educate.
Yeah, that hillbilly heater, my buddy, we experienced a real bad ice storm in '94, I believe it was. And 2 weeks later, he came back to work. He's like, man, buddy, he goes, I remember you talking about all your survival crap. And that's what he called it. But he goes, we went and got alcohol and we kept the several rooms heated up during that ice storm until they got the electric back on it. Because they went 4 days without electric, no
Oh,
furnace or
wow.
nothing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What else do you have in your pack?
But like I said, I like to look at products and say, hey, how, if a product says, use this for this, I like to look at products. What can I use that for in my old redneck way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've got several of these. I love these things. Now you can put these on the bottom of your bug out bag or throw them in your car. I mean, they're so handy, but I might have to stand up for this here.
Mm-hmm.
This here's it's actually a fishing, like a, tackle box, but it's a tackle roll. But I use this. See, I mean, it's just this small, and you can put this on the bottom of your backpack, and then.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
Like a travel bag kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and like there's road flares and knives, saws, stakes, paracord. What's this?
Cotton,
The hand stuff, sanitizer, cotton balls, dryer lint. Let's see what else I got in there. A couple buck knives. We even got the box cutters. And look, there's some more of the lighters. I've got so many lighters, I forget where I put them. So there's
That is awesome, though.
Yeah, and I just use plastic. You go get a pound of meat. After I eat the meat, I'll take the plastic and put dryer lint in there.
That's a great idea for fire.
I used to collect dryer lint. Since we moved, I don't think I have, but it's a great fire starter. And what I would do is put it in the toilet paper roll cardboard or paper towel roll cardboard. I would just stick it in there to store it.
Yeah. I mean, I keep the ice cream buckets and stick my dryer lint in, and put out in the barn.
I know we went camping one time and we used coffee filters and Vaseline to start fires.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I got Vaseline in there along with cotton balls, same way as the hand sanitizer. Squeeze a little bit of that. Like after the sea thing passed, I went and bought like 4 or 5 cases of the little hand sanitizer bottles. And
Yeah.
if you look on anything that says 70% alcohol
Yeah.
is perfect. You know, I mean, you can score a little, like I said, in this day and age, you should never be without a lighter.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean,
Agreed.
I mean, yeah, it's all, you know, fun and manly and stuff to, oh, I'm going to start a fire rubbing these 2 sticks together. Knock yourself out. I'll just like this and I'll start cooking.
Hey, was that a knock on Spencer?
Oh, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love
No,
bushcraft.
no,
I love
no,
bushcraft and I like trying to, yeah.
Spencer always gives me hell,
Yeah.
so I'm
But I mean,
throwing
I
it right
just
back
love
to Spencer.
trying different ways.
I'm all
It's like
about
I
that.
tell my wife Angie, yeah, I love this stuff. I mean, like if I'm bored and ain't got nothing to do, I'll just start making my own fire starters or a better way to try to make a better fire starter, just whatever I can do, just something to keep busy and hopefully you don't need it later. So,
Right. Something that I added to my bag after a while were my dad bought a bunch of fireworks for my, you know, to show my son when my son would go over to do, you know, little firework displays. And I got to thinking about it. So I started buying like smoke. So light this and it shoots orange smoke. So, you know, if you're ever out somewhere and you need help, you know, if you don't know ground signs, you know, that's the new thing I'm learning is ground to air signs. You know,
another thing is a mirror. Keep a mirror in your pack.
A mirror is a perfect thing. Yes.
Mhm.
And it'll help you start fires too. A mirror can.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a magnifying glass.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a pain in the butt, but you know, you got to make do with what you got.
And I'm sure Bud has this in his bag as well. Toothpaste and a toothbrush.
And dental floss, actually. I got dental floss too. Yeah.
Got dental floss too.
Or my preferred method, which is the little, hold on. I don't know if you can see it.
There you go.
It's a little toothbrush, like a travel size that already has the toothpaste on it.
Oh, really? I ain't seen them.
It's so cool. And let's see, can you see it?
Now, believe it or not, another thing I skipped over was fingernail clippers, especially if you got one with a file on it. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ripped fingernails where you're out. Oh, that's a painful. And then you got to put up. I mean, that's why I keep my fingernails short. Everybody's like, "What do you do? Chew your finger?" I'm like, "No, I just keep them short. I've ripped too many of them, and it's too painful." In a survival situation, any cut, anything like that could turn deadly. You know,
it's funny.
Like I said, I'm always thinking the worst. I'm always thinking the worst scenario. So.
As you should. You should.
We took our big trip last week, and the one thing I did not pack that I wish I had was actually fingernail clippers. And I had never run into that before, but I felt how uncomfortable it was to not have them.
Yeah. I mean, you don't think about the little things like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was really kind of proud of myself because I knew I did not overpack for that trip. So I was very comfortable with everything, and I could have bought a pair.
Now, if you're anything like Angie, I find that hard to believe.
No, I'm one of those people where we haven't camped in over a year, but when we do, we primitive camp. And to me, it's all about learning from it. And it's really fun, in my opinion, but learning from it and learning what I should have had or what I did not need that I did pack. I love any product that has multiple uses.
Yeah.
So that
there's an old saying in the surviving and prepping world: 1 is none, 2 is 1.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
And then it's just, I love to learn those things. You know, I feel like that makes us stronger.
Well, what amazes me is, I mean, you take my grandpa's generation. It was, I mean, everybody knew it. Everybody knew how to take care of yourselves, grow garden, do stuff on their own, build. I mean, everybody, it's just the way it was. And now we're so dumbed down, I guess you could call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame. I mean, people, if shit hits the fan, we're in trouble.
We've gotten to a point in society where we're starting to rely on, you know, Walmart and all those stores. And when the electricity or the grid goes down, we're not going to have any of that stuff. You're going to have confusion. I mean, look what happened with C-19. and toilet paper, for
Mhm.
God's sake. People went
Oh yeah.
nuts over.
And Jim brings up a good point. I have a steel wool and a 9-volt battery in my pack. A lot of people don't know that
Yep.
you take steel wool and then put your kindling on top, touch a 9-volt battery to the steel wool, bam, got a fire. A lot of people don't know
Wow.
that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I've got so much useless knowledge nowadays.
That scares me to think about.
It's
Yeah.
definitely not useless knowledge. What Patrick right here?
Well, like I said, if we have to use it, we're in trouble.
Oh.
Yeah.
With
And Patrick, yeah, we have
iodine, yep.
we have iodide as well. Potassium iodide. You know, if you have thyroid issues, you can take that every day instead of getting a drop in your drink. But yeah, if you live near a nuclear plant, that's pretty much a given. You need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, any kind of nuclear detonation, you're gonna need your iodine pills if you're within probably about 40 miles. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now,
And
what do you keep?
another thing is, I actually, it was about $300, but I bought a 6-month supply of antibiotics. And I had to buy them from Canada. I can't remember the company. If anybody's interested, message me and but you don't need a doctor's prescription or nothing.
Right.
And I ordered them from Canada over a year ago. And because I mean, antibiotics, I mean, I try not to take any medicine at all unless it's absolutely necessary, period. First of all, I don't trust pharmaceutical companies.
Correct.
Mhm.
And second of all, if I need it, then I want it to work. I don't want to be what you call it, where you're adaptive or used to it, or you know what words I'm thinking of. I don't want it to work, even though
Yeah, like if you take too much of an
know.
antibiotic, if you take too much of the same antibiotic,
no
then
good.
your body adapts to it.
And I even researched a bunch of the pet stuff. A lot of the fish antibiotics is, well, I don't know. I don't want to say that and get you in trouble on your show. But
hey, I put a disclaimer at the beginning. So
okay, well, I'm okay. This ain't a fact, but some of the research I've done that I thought might work. I'm trying to put it as good as I can. But a lot of people stocked up on fish antibiotics because they think it'd work. Who knows?
yeah, definitely everybody do your research. Yeah.
When it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. Hey, Bud, do you keep an axe in your?
Yeah, I've got an axe. Yep, got one in the truck.
So
Matter of fact, I've got the hand axe like you got. Then I got a full size axe.
I got this axe and my truck, which we originally were making our SHTF vehicle until we found out it only gets about 5 miles to the gallon. It's got 35-inch tires, lift kit, all the lights. Yeah, so it just got to a point where it just cost too much to drive all the time. So we started converting our SUV into something we could do, if we had to, hit the road. Like this week, this coming week, when we go to Holland's, we're going to try our first, what are we going to call it? Sleeping in the back of the
car camping.
Car camping. So we're
that's how me and Angie do it right now. We sleep out of the back of the truck. We've got a mattress, an air mattress from some company you order, and when you inflate it, it goes over the fender wells and it's level with the bed. And I sleep better than that. And I do my bed.
Awesome.
That's great.
It's nice.
If anybody puts anything in their backpack that has batteries, that needs batteries, make sure you're stocking those batteries. We said the same thing on the bug end here. If don't carry batteries that you don't use, that you don't need. Carry batteries that now you can carry extra batteries for bartering purposes if it gets to that point. Yeah,
a matter of fact, maybe you guys have them down there. I'm sure you probably do in Tennessee, but the little bottles of whiskey, 10 for $10. I hardly ever drink, but I bet I've got 100 bottles. And they're for actually bartering. Yeah.
Yes.
And the same with pews. Your most common pews, 22s, 12 gauge, 9mm, and 45s.
Yep.
Now I have ample with that stuff. And also have different calibers, but it ain't gonna do me much good. And the shit hit the fence. You take a 458 SOCOM, you ain't gonna find ammo laying around for that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about protection, either while you're on the road or SHTF.
Okay.
What do you, What does Bud suggest somebody carry?
Well, being a firearms instructor and all around weapons my whole life, I mean, I'm big on safety. I'm the most dangerous people at the range that I've seen in my career was the people like me who've been around guns their whole lives, knew everything about guns, and that's how accidents happen. You get careless, you already, I don't have to listen to that guy, I already know it. That's the most dangerous. I mean, I hate to say it, but people like that know a lot about weapons. I mean, I've seen more accidents, from people who's been around guns their whole life. But I'm sorry, what was the question you got me?
So not everybody, let's start off this way. Not everybody's into guns. Okay. Some people are very uncomfortable around guns.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What do you suggest?
Take women, take a 105-pound woman. If I was going to take her, if she asked me to, hey, I want to go buy me a gun. Can you take me to the range, teach me how to shoot? I'd get probably, I don't know, maybe a 38, maybe a 25 caliber, something smaller, and then work my way up to 9mm 40 caliber stuff. Like, let her shoot, see what she feels comfortable with, see which one she could handle good. See what, most women are great shots. From what I found out, women are great shooters. They are, because they listen and they do what they're told. And by God, they're great. I ain't kidding you. They're great shots. I mean,
wait. You said they do what they're told?
When it comes to the range, like I said, I'm real. I stress safety. I mean, around weapons, you got to,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd take a lady to the range and have 4 or 5 different weapons there for her. Say, hey, shoot these, see what you feel comfortable with. Show her the proper grip and the sight alignment and all. I'd show her, hey, what do you feel comfortable with? And then say, hey, maybe you should go look into this if that's a weapon you like. Don't just get it, buy it, never shoot it, don't know what you're doing. I mean, and God forbid, please, I mean, you don't. I mean, that's a last ditch. You don't want to shoot anybody unless your life's in jeopardy.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's rules for actually using deadly force, and I don't have to go. I don't want to go all over that stuff. But
no, you don't.
I mean,
no, we won't.
You pull that trigger. It's yeah. I mean,
it's something that could affect you your rest of your life.
I always say if it's me or my wife in jeopardy, you got to pay for it one way or the other. But if it's me or my wife in danger, I'm going to do what I have to do. But so hopefully, I mean, if you see some guy getting robbed, don't jump out and shoot the guy. If you see another guy getting robbed, don't jump out and shoot the guy. That ain't good. Yeah, that ain't good.
So let's say,
I mean, you're doing neighborly.
So let's say somebody, no, I don't want a gun. I'm not having a gun. I'm not carrying a gun. A few suggestions I have are obviously like mace for women, bear spray. If you want to keep something that big, I'm big into cutlery.
Be careful in the legal situation on this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you got to be careful in the legal situation on the bear spray.
Do you?
Yeah. And then, I mean, being an instructor, they taught us what you couldn't say, what you shouldn't say, and what legal ramifications. Like I said, bear spray says right on the bottle, do not use on humans. Yeah. Now, when I was up in Snellgrove Lake, we had a bear come into camp and everybody came to get me. Bud, go get rid of this bear. I grabbed the bear. I grabbed the bear spray and I had to circle around that bear because I wanted to get upwind, of course.
Right.
It says right on the bottle, do not spray on humans. Yeah. Because the stuff we used in the prison was Fox. I think it was called Fox. I mean, that stuff.
Is that a CS? Is that like a CS pass? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, but that stuff we used on inmates and each other, but that stuff we used on them, the bear sprays, I mean, it says right on the bear spray is about 100 times stronger. I mean, it'll, my guess is if you sprayed somebody from 5 feet with bear spray, they're dead. Oh, and especially if they got any kind of breathing problems or CPD or asthma, they ain't going to make it. I mean, I even had a ranger in Montana on a hunt that said, do not, hey, when you're back at the cabin with your buddies and messing around, don't spray each other. These, being funny. You see, you'll kill somebody. Yeah. I
That's
was like,
I
really?
didn't realize
Yeah.
that.
And
One of
another thing is when I was out there, I actually took mine out of my case, pulled the safety off, and actually, because you only got about 10 seconds in them big $30 cans. So I went and sprayed to it. I wanted to make sure how far I could use it. How, you know, I wanted to make sure I knew how to use it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, people buy them and don't never. Then something happens and they don't know what to do. They can't get it, and I'm like, oh man, if you just learn how to use it, you know. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I had a ranger said, hey, have you ever had to use yours? He said, yeah, one time I was taking the Boy Scout troop up the mountain to some lake for fishing. And I said, we came around the corner. He said, as soon as I turned that corner, I seen a bear cub about 30 feet from me. He said, the first thing I did, he said, I seen that cub. I reached for my bear spray. He said, I pulled it up and I started looking for mama. And here she comes to my left. He said, you have to have nuts this big. He said, yeah. I was like, really? He says, yeah. He says, whatever you do not go for your rifle. Do not go for your pistol. You'll be dead before that bear dies.
Wow.
He goes, you got to grab that bear spray. He goes, you got to have nuts that big. He goes, and you got to wait for that bear to get 10 to 15 feet from you. And then you cut loose, buddy.
Oh,
And I'm like, whoo, man, now you would have to have some cojones, you know?
yeah.
Well, you'd also have to be, you know, you hope you're at the the right wind direction too, because you want that
Yeah.
blow back in your face.
Right.
Yeah, like when I was a snow grove, I made sure I circled that bear because I wanted to get upwind. And I told him, I said, you guys get back in the cabin or go around the cabin. So that bear started walking towards the fire pit, and I was on about 10 feet away. I hit that bear spray, and he was gone right now, just like that. I was like, whew, thank goodness.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Also, I wanted to say when you build a pack that you're going to keep in your car, make sure you're building your pack for the time of the year it is.
My car.
And everybody should go through their pack. So let's say you build a spring summer pack, you need to go before fall and switch over to a fall winter pack. So you're gonna throw you store minimal clothes just because it takes up a lot of space. So throw throw something that you can stay warm in: a snow hat, mittens, gloves.
Yeah, always keep blankets and cold weather gear, of course. And like I'm sorry, Chad, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please, bud. Go ahead.
You don't want to forget food. Like there's what's the name of? There's a sweet and salty. It comes in a box of 40. They're little packs of it's trail mix, sweet and salty trail mix. And it comes in 40 packs for about $14. I keep one of them 40 packs, in each vehicle, which with our driving, we really don't have to worry too much. Where we're at right now, you're going to be pretty close to, civilization or anything, but you never know. But it's high in protein, energy, carbohydrates, because that's what you want in cold weather. When you need energy, you need protein, carbohydrates, carbohydrates, just remember, is like gasoline for a car. That's what gets you going. That gives
Absolutely.
You, and you burn it up. And like most of us know who are older and slower now, carbohydrates turn into fat when you don't move too much.
Yeah.
But let's also remember, if we're in these scenarios, if you're a healthy person, and I mean, if you like to eat health food, at that time, you're going to put in your body what gives you energy and screw the healthy stuff. If you're keeping kale or seaweed in your car, you're not really getting anything out of that. Put some protein candy bars, lots of carbohydrates, candy bars. Yeah, they're not good for us, but they supply a lot of sugary energy.
Well, make sure that it's, something appropriate for your weather or the heat or the temperature.
I mean, a lot of people love these ramen noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll feel full, but you're going to die of malnutrition in about a month. But
and
dehydrate yourself.
The sodium level.
Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of the ramen noodles, but also buy the can of mixed vegetables.
Yeah.
So, when I make them, I pour the can of and just fry, boil them in along with it.
Mm-hmm.
This is another thing, and I'm sure you have one in your car. The old military fold-up shovels.
Yeah, I was just using it yesterday.
Yeah, these things are great. Keep one in your car. If you
can get them for $10, $12, I think Walmart has some. I don't know how cheap they are, but Yeah, I've
Yeah,
got two.
He just tightened it so that
it
it
folds up.
stays.
It's something you can shove back with your spare tire. I
Yeah.
highly suggest a spare tire in your car. I highly suggest a tire pump that you can plug into your car that'll pump your tires. You know, we can tell you these things, but
Yeah.
to really learn, jump online, go through different sites,
Like I said, all the stuff we're talking about, there's a video on YouTube. I mean, like I said, all my tips and tricks that I've learned throughout the years, it's all on YouTube.
right,
Yep.
right. But
But
we
make
definitely,
sure you do it, practice it.
absolutely, absolutely. We've discussed a lot of different things, and I'm not trying to end the show now at all, but we want you to research it. That's the point of our show is we want people to, you're learning things on here, but you can learn so much more. We're packed within a 2-hour show. You can go online and watch. In fact, I made a list of videos, people that we watch that teach us things. And the first thing I want to promote, I don't think Robbie or DA are in here, but is Dark Angel Medical. They have a Facebook page called Dark Angel LLC, Dark Angel Medical LLC, and they show you how to use the Dark Angel medical kits, from tourniquets to wound preparation, wound repair, all these things, and they offer many different styles of types of kits. Again, know what you're good at. That's why it's good to practice, take a first aid class, learn CPR, learn how to wrap. I coached high school soccer, so we had to go with a lot of these safety classes, which really was funny to me because we had team trainers that were all, they were all in training to be doctors and everything else like that. But we still had to know how to use a defibrillator and everything else like that. We watched a gentleman called Magic Prepper. He teaches a lot of gun safety, but he also teaches prepping and
there's a lot of good prepping and survival shows on YouTube that I try to catch.
I like one of the reasons I really wanted to have Bud on, because I knew he had a military background and I knew he had knowledge and things that we wanted to talk about. Well, he hit us up on the show, the Bug In show, about stuff, and so I want to get him on here to really talk about that, kind of get him out of his realm with the Bigfoot and bring him into the preparedness world. Black Scout Survival. The gentleman's name's Jack Richland. His first videos that he came out with on the internet were all preparedness videos, not into the world, but just how to, what we've talked about tonight, what to keep in your car, how to do this, how to do that. Warrior Poet Society. That's John Lovell. You can buy many things from them. I don't really suggest, if you're new into getting into this preparedness stuff, don't go out and buy the high dollar stuff. Okay.
Yeah, definitely not.
There's a lot of stuff out there that's just as good, but you got to do your research for it. Amazon sells great stuff, as much as I really don't want to buy from Amazon. Unfortunately, here in a small town. Yeah. In a small town, we don't have those opportunities to buy American here. Southern Prepper One, he gives news every day of what's going on in the world. And he is one of those people that he was actually on the old Doomsday Prepper show, which I don't even know if it's on anymore, but
yeah.
And then there's a great show for you people that like to grow your own plants, create your own off-grid living. And that's called Off Grid with Doug and Stacy.
I've seen that one. Yeah. I've watched them a few times.
Yeah. They're pretty good. They teach you how to grow things, how to, times of the year to do stuff, just like self-sufficient, like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I highly suggest that stuff, everybody. Just get better knowledge. Bud and I could probably sit here and talk 2 or 3 hours.
For 8 hours. I love talking this stuff. I could sit around the campfire all night long talking and get tricks from everybody else.
Hopefully we get to do that someday, Bud. You and I sit around and talk for forever. But there's so many things that you can do to prepare for bad situations.
Yeah.
And you need to prepare. You need to be, a weather radio, which is something we talked about on the Bug In show, to know what kind of weather is going to be around you and what dangers you could face and how you need to prepare for it or stay prepared for it. So that's really cool. If you do that. Bud, do you keep any MREs in your bag, or what kind of food do you keep in your bag?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I make my own. I try to I try to get 2,000 calories or as close as I can, and a good thing to keep a lot of people don't is hardtack candy, any kind of hard candy. I mean, that's all. It seemed like it curbs hunger for a little bit until it gets too bad. But I mean, it's always good to have a hardtack piece of hard candy sometimes too.
Right.
I mean, like I said, when you're out there in the bush and you're out there for 4 or 5, 10 days, I mean, the hardest part is boredom. And I mean, I ain't kidding you. It wears on you. And if I had to do it for actual survival, I mean, people don't realize how, I mean, the boredom's the hardest part, But I mean, it's like you ask a lot of people, humans need food, water, and shelter to live. Some people will even include fire, but food, water, and shelter, which you think is most important? And you
Yeah,
ask them,
exactly.
and I mean, like the right answer is shelter. I mean, if say you drive off a cliff and it's 20 degrees outside and your car rolls and breaks up, or just say you're in a plane crash or something and you survived the crash, God forbid. But there's a rule that you can go, 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without oh shoot, I can't believe now I'm embarrassing myself now.
Oh, you're fine.
But a lot of people say, well, okay, say I was out in the snow skiing and went off a cliff or something. Am I going to need food, water, or shelter first? I said, well, first you're going to need shelter. And like, no, I'll need food or water to stay alive. No, I mean, you can probably survive 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hours in your cold weather before you die. You can survive 3 days without water. And
Right.
you can survive 30 days without eating. God forbid. You might have a good weight plan, But, yeah, but you have to have shelter. I mean, even say you're in the desert, 110 degrees. Are you going to die in 3 hours from the heat, or were you going to need the most, water or food or shelter in the desert?
All
You're
right.
going to need shelter. You got to get out of that sun.
I just looked this up, bud.
Mm.
This one says 3 minutes. You can survive 3 minutes without air, or in icy
3 minutes without
water.
air.
You can survive 3 hours without
Yeah.
shelter in a harsh
Yeah.
environment.
See,
You can survive 3 days without water if
There you
you
go.
have shelter. You can survive 3 weeks without water if you have shelter and water.
I mean, without food.
Without food if you have shelter and water.
Yeah. Yeah, they say 30 days. I mean, another trick that a lot of people don't know that I was told by my grandparents, I was like, oh, you guys are crazy. I'm going to try it and see. You take a plastic bag, put over a limb of leaves. Next morning, you got droplets, you got a little gulp of water
Condensation.
just from the evaporation.
There's
It's
so many
weird,
little
yeah.
tricks. There's so
Yeah.
many little tricks.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you
there's solar water still. I mean, you learn that from ponds. You're playing in the pond, making your own solar water still,
Yep.
Pretty neat stuff. But I mean, it's stuff that people knew back in the 30s, and they just knew it. It was just part of life,
Yeah.
Oh, Verby.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's again, everybody really research your area, research,
Yeah.
pay attention to the time of the year, do all of that stuff. That's what really gives you a good bag to build and what to put in your car. In the snow, every year we pack stuff in the car for her for snow. If, here we live in the mountains. So if she was to slide, or if we were to slide off the road, we want to have certain things in our car to keep us alive.
Mhm.
Hopefully we would still have shelter, but if we didn't, that would be something I know how to build. She knows how to build as well. A lean-to or I'm learning underground shelters now and how to make those trench shelters, stuff like that. So,
Well, in the car situation, you could use a trash bag or a tarp and the hillbilly heater. You're good for 4
there you
days.
go. I'm going to be big on that hillbilly heater now.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
telling
awesome.
I tried using
See,
the
that's what's
Crisco.
impressive. I thought everybody knew about it, and then I started showing friends over the years, and they're like, "Man, I didn't." I was like, "I thought everybody did." I just, I mean, I've used it for everything. I mean, you'd be surprised. Yeah.
I was trying to do the Crisco heating method where you use Crisco, and then you can stick a
Yeah, I've
candle
seen that.
down in the Crisco, because Crisco is a grease, and it's actually if you look at a can of Crisco above the eye, it has a flame, and because originally that was what Crisco was created for, and so it'll burn forever. you can use the terracotta pots and everything to make a heater out of it, but it doesn't. It might
I've
heat
tried
you
that.
over.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
tried that. Which you're talking about it. Yes, it's supposedly for a space heater. It ain't really that great. I've tried it.
Not.
Yeah. Like I said, try and learn yourselves. Everybody try his stuff and learn it yourself, and see what works, see what you like, see what's easy for you, see what's tough. But like I said, if everybody would, I mean, just, every time you go to the store, just buy an extra can of food or something, just, it might help if something like this would happen, God forbid, it might help make it a little bit better for everybody.
Yeah.
Be prepared, don't take this thing going forever. So.
And definitely know where your fire extinguisher is and other methods of like baking soda, would be an alternative method.
Yeah. Definitely know how to put out fires, because that's the greatest thing or not the greatest thing, but the biggest thing that could happen when you're using the hillbilly heater or Crisco is getting knocked over, or an oil lamp. We talked about buying it. We were in we were in an Amish store this weekend. She's like, "You want to buy an oil lamp?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we have flashlights. It is modern era, but I mean, an oil lamp wouldn't be a bad thing to have." It's funny how they've gone.
I've probably got 7 or 8 of them. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know my dad used to have one of those Coleman lanterns with the
that took the oil.
Yeah. Those were they definitely put the light out.
Now, if you're one thing I got down on my notes here, have you ever heard of a Dakota fire hole? I actually used them in my foxhole because we wasn't allowed having any kind of fires or heats or nothing like that, for concealment purposes. But by God, I knew about a Dakota fire hole. And
we've seen those on YouTube.
Have you? Yeah, I mean,
go ahead and talk about it. Tell us what it is.
You dig a hole here, I don't know, just say a foot down here and a hole here, foot down. Then you go in there and you dig underneath. Okay. Well, you put your sticks over here in this one and you light it, and then you feed the fire through the other side. See what you do when you put new wood on a fire, where you get smoke from is evaporation of the water molecules. That's where smoke comes from. Take green wood or something. It ain't dried out, so that's what's evaporating the smoke. Well, if you put new wood in the coals at the base of a fire, as that water is evaporating, it burns up and dries out, so you don't get smoke. And you ain't want no raging fire in the Dakota. You're doing it for concealment, for a little bit of warmth, for heating up stuff. You're doing it for concealment. And then when you're done, to not leave no tracks or traces, you just cover it back up and you move on. But it's a real neat fire to have for concealment and strategy, stuff like that. So
yeah. And they what Bud and I have talked about, and Erica, all this we've talked about, there is so much more out there to learn. It all depends on what you want to do for yourself or your family. If you have a family, I highly suggest, you get your kids involved, and give them assignments on what to do.
Yeah, make it fun.
Yeah. And do a monthly drill or a bi-weekly, not bi-weekly, but every 2-week drill. Just work with them, so they know what they've got to do, because kids are going to panic.
It's just like my boys. Now, if you need a computer worked on, new memory or whatever the crap they're the people to talk to. But if it comes to camping out and living out here for 3 days by yourself, they're done. They ain't interested in the least. I'm like, oh my gosh, every kid when I was that, we all knew everything, all that stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
Now I said, man, if we ever shit as a fan more, you guys are in trouble. No, we'll be with you, Dad. But yeah, I just hate to see the way the world is now. Nobody helps each other out. It ain't like when I grew up in your neighbors and I'm sure there's still a lot of people like that and all. And I try to help who I can, when I can, if I can at all. But I always try to help out. But I just miss the good old days.
I agree, and it's probably we're probably the last generation, Bud, that really got to enjoy that. Be home by the time the street light comes on, and because you were always outside, you were always doing something. I can remember I didn't want to be at home, even when I got my first gaming system, which was like in television, it was in television. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to play baseball with my buddies, or we played Army. You know, we all had, we played with BB guns. So
yeah, we did too.
so yeah, you come home with some welts on you, you know.
Oh yeah. Whew.
But you know, that was the good old days of playing outdoors, and now
Yeah.
kids are oblivious. And I'm not saying all kids are that way. There are
Yeah.
a lot of good kids still.
Yeah.
It's obviously the parents that get them involved in stuff they need to be involved in. You know, I see now where some kids are being raised with playing GTA 5, you know,
Oh yeah.
50 hours a week. And you're like, you
Yeah.
know, your kid's not learning anything, and your kid's developing a warped sense of reality because they're playing a video game that, you know, they can just walk up and steal a car off of somebody or shoot them, and it's a game.
There was one game my boys wanted me to play with them, some war shooting game or something, Call of Duty or something.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and you know, I've finally learned a little bit of controller, and I'm running over behind a building or a bush, and I'm laying down, you know, and you're like, Dad, where you camping? I'm like, I ain't camping. I'm playing your game. What are you talking about camping? You got to get up and run and shoot. I said, I'm just doing what I know. You don't run in front of a machine gun. You know, no, Dad, you can't be staying hiding like that. You got to run and I was like, no, hey, it's different from the real thing, you kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that gets the sniper rifle and hides in a tower.
There you go.
I want to be able to shoot people down there. I don't want them shooting at me. So
you're like, no, Dad, you're camping. I guess that's looked down upon in a video game. You can't be camping. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm just doing what I know.
I used to be every Friday night, my buddies and I would get online, and we would just, as a group, we would go in and challenge all these other people. And I was horrible. I mean, my buddies would get 30, 40 kills and I'd get 3, you know, but anyway,
I gave up. Yeah.
I don't
the
even
kids are
play
so
it.
good now. I can't even, they're so good nowadays. I can't even, my reflexes have slowed down. Like I tell everybody, I'm too old to fight and too slow to run. And that's why I carry a gun.
That's it. There you go. That's a good motto. I also wanted everybody we showed this on the bug in. This is a solar panel or solar charger that's got USB, the C charger, and I believe the old iPhone charger on it. And these, all you gotta do is throw it out in the sun. You can keep phones, you can keep anything that's electronic charged. Now, this is great if you know we don't have an EMP, because then this becomes useless as well.
Now, do you guys have any Faraday cages? I make my own Faraday cages.
I haven't made one yet. I've seen them where you could use trash cans.
Aluminum foil. Trash can's the easiest way. Yeah, and the best way to tell if they work, put a radio in there, and then you're like a walkie-talkie, and then put the lid, tape it up. You have to use aluminum tape around the edges, and then and you have to line the inside with cardboard. Anything you got to detach from, cover up the metal completely. That way, the EMP strike just goes around the metal and on through. It don't go in what you're trying to protect. And you can make them out of like I said, I go thrifting. I buy these old office boxes, metal box that has a lid. Put stuff in there, line it with cardboard or styrofoam, and put it down. Put what you want in there, tape it up, aluminum.
Make sure you seal it. Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean, I've tried how they said to check, see if it works. So I guess God forbid, I don't want to find out for sure. But
yeah,
exactly.
We're at least putting forth the effort, in hopes that it will work.
Yeah, you never know.
So anybody in chat, do you have any questions for Bud? I highly suggest it's a great time to ask. Again, if you're just getting into this or learning these things, we're all friends here. We're all family. It's a great time to ask these questions. Oh, Patrick. Anyway, there are videos on how to make your own Faraday cages. Again,
you can look all this stuff up.
Oh yeah.
You can buy Faraday cages. You can buy Faraday bags. I know my wallet is it's got the not a Faraday, but it's the way thieves can read your credit cards from your wallet. If you have a normal, I've got the device that blocks them, or the type of wallet that blocks it. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that stuff, Bud. There's so much that goes on that somebody could just walk by you with these instruments they carry and steal your credit card information right there. People putting the things at the gas station where you put your card in. card reader stuff. So
Yeah, always grab on that card thing.
Shake it.
Make sure it won't come out.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's lots of things that people can do to prepare for that, and just be vigilant, and it'll make your life a little bit easier. You definitely don't want to find out that somebody took all your money out of your bank account or stuff like that. But we wanted to do this show on preparing for worst case scenarios and not worst case scenarios. Just having these things in your car, and there's two of us, just like there's Bud and Angie. So, having a pack in one car and a pack in another. And then I keep a pack in a first aid pack, which is basically gauze, wrap, scissors, stethoscope, everything that I've been given from my mom, who was a nurse for a long time. And I just throw it in a bag. And so I really don't, if it was an emergency situation, I would panic because I wouldn't know where anything is. But check out Dark Angels Medical and look at a good, it doesn't have to just be them. I'm just promoting them because I like those guys, and I think I want to promote within this group. He sells many different kits. He's got videos on how to use everything in there. I watched a few today on trauma, how to use tourniquets and stuff like that. So it's good to know. Bud, did they teach you anything like that in the military?
Yeah, they give us a crash course of like an open sucking chest wound and tourniquets and stuff that I wouldn't want to attempt.
Exactly.
Yeah, but there was we went through a crash course, a couple of days worth of that stuff.
Yeah,
and even at the prison, we had the defibrillator. We had to know how to use that. Little emergency stuff like that. CPR and all that crap.
Right. Hillary plastic wrap. That is very good. Super glue, duct tape, tourniquet. Yep.
Yeah.
I was going to suggest
liquid bandage.
Super glue. I carry super glue. Yeah.
Super glue,
the little single-use super glues. Them are great. Take your pair of pliers and pull skin together and then put super glue on it and give it 10 seconds or so.
Actually, Bud, a lot of surgeons use that nowadays to keep from scarring.
Yeah.
To keep
I've seen that. Yeah. I was like, wow.
What's I carry a survival knife, small axe, pew, and another pew.
Mhm.
Pew.
I have my little Vaseline, which is about the size of a quarter. I mean, way thicker, but just a little bigger than a quarter. That's very, very convenient to carry.
Yeah.
Miss Me,
exactly.
Perfect, Miss
Well, like
Me.
I said, them little bottles of hand sanitizer. Hey, just take a little spark, fire.
Yeah, you make your own hand sanitizers at 70% alcohol.
I haven't made any in a while. It probably is.
So there's
perfect. 70%.
So anyway, if anybody doesn't have it, let's see, we're hour 43. Okay. I literally could talk about. Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Bud, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
I can't wait to actually get to meet you and Angie. I know we saw you in passing at Hollins last year. You guys were on your way out. Yeah, you guys were on your way out, and we didn't get there.
You guys didn't make it. Didn't your car break down or something at first?
Yeah,
Yeah.
broke down. So we didn't get to meet everybody. So we look forward to meeting you guys and watching your shows. I know we got to watch your little show you did about meeting Jeff out at Gettysburg, and that was cool. And we've watched your stuff at Flat Rocks too, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, I love going to Flat Rocks.
Yeah. Someday I hope to get out there. I hope I get the invite. I'm not going to invite myself.
Yeah, that's why I am. I hate to. I don't ask. I like people.
Right.
I just want to be. I hate to be rude.
Right. I'm definitely not that person. I don't have. I've talked about on many shows. We don't have any Bigfoot experience. We've always been interested in it. We met Greg and Roger, and that's what got us interested. And now we've met so many awesome people and listened to their experiences, and it just fascinates me. Every day I can watch a different show, whether it's people in this group here or people in another group that have hundreds of followers too, and just hear these stories and not stories. I don't like to call them that, experiences.
Yeah.
And it just baffles me that, they still say this isn't real. This isn't,
Yeah. I don't
know. I don't know, but again, Bud, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for inviting me, Chad. Like I said, I can talk 8 hours. I love talking this stuff.
Yeah.
This stuff, deer hunting. Oh yeah, Bigfoot.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe we'll have to talk deer hunting sometime because I've never been deer hunting, and I bought a
Oh really?
7mm Ruger this year to purposely learn to go deer hunting. So
Okay. Yeah, we can't use them in Ohio, but
oh really?
yeah.
Well, darn. Okay. Well, where do you live in Ohio? What part?
South Central, Chillicothe. We're about 40 miles from the Ohio River, straight up, straight north. Yeah.
I'm originally from Dayton, so we moved from Ohio to Tennessee.
We're about 45 miles from Dayton. Yeah.
Okay.
We're
I've been to
east of Dayton
Chillicothe.
and about an hour from Cincinnati and about 45 minutes from Columbus. We're right down where I call it the good part of Ohio. From where I live to West Virginia and Pennsylvania, nothing but woods and hollers and us good folk. We stay away from the big cities.
Yeah.
And whenever I go down to Hollins, I always leave here at 9 o'clock at night. So I drive through Nashville and 2 o'clock in the morning and keep on trucking, buddy.
Yes.
I travel at night when I travel. So
Good.
Oh.
Nashville's horrible to drive.
well, you ain't kidding. I hate Nashville, Charlotte, or Atlanta. We try to if we have to go through them, we go through them 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
So.
And Bobby, you said Inglewood. Yeah, that's where I'm from, Inglewood, Ohio, originally. Yeah.
Okay.
So just outside of Dayton, probably 10 miles. So,
Yeah.
But cool. Yeah, we just went on a trip out east up to Boston, Maryland.
Yeah, I've seen that on your Facebook. You guys were down in Nolans, wasn't you?
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
Nolans for a day or 2 days.
I had a buddy in the military. He was our combat medic assigned to our platoon. He had that Cajun accent, boy. I mean, you had to, once I got to know him, I could understand him pretty good. But I mean, he was the best. He was great.
We had a guy sitting next to us. Well, she ended up anyway. We flew Southwest, so there were no assigned seats. But I had a gentleman that worked. They both worked in the oil industry in New Orleans, and the one guy spoke just like me. The other gentleman was Cajun. So was it Cajun or Acadian? A Cajun. Anyway, he had that real French.
Yeah, that's the way this guy was.
Boy. Yeah, it's hard to understand, but it was cool. And anyway, we went out west or out east, excuse me, and got to experience traffic that I never want to be in ever again. So I understand the Nashville, Atlanta, Georgia, because Boston's the same way.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, that was one good thing about the military. I met so many guys from all over. Oh my gosh, Eskimos and Haitians and Baston people from Baston. Oh yeah, I'd say, how do you spell that? Baston. Shut up, bud. Yeah. It's like I said, that my Cajun buddy. Oh my gosh, he was he was so ugly. I wouldn't let my dog mess with him, and this guy could pick up women like that. It had to be. I said, Jones, that had to be an accent. Got to be your accent, ugly as you are. So yeah, I'll have to ask all you women. Is it true? Just the accent's all I need.
Oh my God.
All it takes. I'm telling you. I mean, geez. I probably better shut up. I've been going farther than that. Yeah. That's my young days. Young and dumb.
Well, it's been a very fun episode.
Wait a second. Yeah. Bud, are you going to be in Hollins this weekend?
Yeah, we're going to leave Thursday night.
Yes. Okay.
Awesome.
We'll be there. We'll be there Friday evening, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we should be there around noon Friday. I'm hoping everything, everything goes good.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. Because we finally get there the day we want. I would love to go in the whole week, but
yeah, us too. With Angie's new job, we can't get away. So.
Aww.
So okay, well, cool. We'll end the show here, Bud. Again, thanks for being on. It's been a pleasure having you here, sharing your knowledge, your useless knowledge.
No, very useful.
But we got a lot in common because I'll do these trivia things on our TV.
Oh, I love trivia.
I rock trivia, and it's like I know so many things I shouldn't know.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, useless knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. So, thanks, Virax.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, and I'll see you guys here in 3 or 4 days.
Yes, sir.
Sounds great.
We'll see you then, brother.
Thank you again, Bud.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us for episode 8.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. We appreciate it. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, please hit the thumbs up. We're trying to do our best. We're coming up with some better ideas. Well, some more good ideas, actually. We're going to try to do a show this Sunday. We're going to be at the Hollins. We're hoping to get back in time. We're going to talk to some people at Hollins, and hopefully we have a show with Carl. Do I want a Bigfoot encounter? That's a good question. I think somebody's asked me that before. Maybe one, and that's it. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of want to hear one or hear something, maybe see some. I don't know. But if I see one, I'm sure I'll crap my pants and probably never want to see one again. So, but it's a good question.
Thank you, everybody.
Look forward to the people we're going to see this weekend, and everybody else have a great night. Thank you for being here. We love you all.
Yeah, we love you guys.
And take care. We'll see you all next time.
See you next time.